Here's something wild. A recent study showed how a single contaminated doorknob infected 60% of surfaces in an entire building within hours. It's a perfect metaphor for how quickly negative influences can spread through society.
That's such a fascinating parallel to what we're exploring today with the story of Cain and Abel. How one person's choices can create this massive ripple effect through generations.
You know what really strikes me about this ancient story? The way it captures these incredibly modern human dynamics: jealousy, rivalry, pride. I mean, these are the same emotions driving conflicts in offices and families today.
Well, that's exactly what makes it so relevant. The progression from jealousy to violence wasn't instant. There were all these warning signs and opportunities to change course.
Speaking of warnings, let's talk about that incredible moment when God directly confronts Cain, telling him, "Sin is crouching at your door." I mean, how many of us get such clear warnings before making terrible decisions?
Hmm. It's interesting how we often ignore those internal warning signs, right? Like that gut feeling when we're about to do something we know isn't right.
And what fascinates me is how Cain's response mirrors what we often see in modern psychology. When confronted with our mistakes, we tend to double down rather than reflect and change.
The psychological progression is really remarkable when you break it down. From jealousy to anger to that famous question, am I my brother's keeper?
You know what's particularly interesting? The text never explicitly states what made Abel's offering acceptable, and Cain's not. It seems to suggest it was more about their attitudes than the actual offerings.
That's exactly what makes this story so relevant to modern life. It's not about going through the motions, it's about the heart behind our actions.
And then we see this fascinating development where Cain's descendants become these incredible innovators. They're developing metallurgy, music, agriculture, but they're doing it all while moving further from their creator.
Well, that raises an interesting question. How do we balance progress and innovation with maintaining our moral compass?
That's such a crucial point, especially when we look at Lamech, who takes everything wrong with Cain's path and amplifies it. He's not just violent, he's bragging about it and promising even greater vengeance.
Though I think it's worth noting that even in this dark narrative, we see these moments of grace breaking through, like the protective mark God puts on Cain, despite his crimes.
Right, and that's what makes this story so complex. It's not just about the spread of evil, it's about how divine mercy keeps showing up in unexpected ways. Even when things seem darkest, we see hope emerging through Seth's line.
So, what do you think this ancient story tells us about handling conflict and rivalry in our modern world?
Well, I think it shows us that we all face these crossroad moments where we have to choose how to respond to disappointment or rejection. The question isn't whether we'll face these challenges, but how we'll handle them when they come.
And those choices create ripples that affect more than just ourselves. They impact our relationships, our communities, even future generations.
Exactly. And maybe that's the most important lesson here. Understanding that our responses to life's challenges don't just affect us in the moment. They set patterns in motion that can either build up or break down the fabric of our communities.